All right, this is the multi-step equations quiz. So let's get started with number 1. So you have negative 20 equals to negative 4x minus 6x. And the first thing I want to do, I have two x's on the same side of the equal sign. I'm going to go ahead and combine them. I'm going to combine these two. So I'm going to have negative 20 equals to, I'm combining two negative numbers. It's going to be a bigger negative number, so it becomes negative 10x. Now, because you have multiplication between the negative 10 and the x, I'm going to get rid of the negative 10 by dividing, which is the opposite of multiplication. So, of course, it's gone here. And x is going to be a positive 2 because 10 goes into 20 twice, and negative divided by negative is positive. So that's number 1. For number 2, first combine your like terms. And 1 plus 5, remember the minus belongs to the negative 2n. It's going to be 6. So 6 minus 2n. Then just follow through. Subtract 6 from both sides, which really makes all the 6's go away. Now to get rid of that negative 2 times n, I do the opposite. I divide by negative 2 on both sides, which is really not going to make much of a difference because anything divided by 0 is 0 anyways. So n is just going to be 0. So that's numbers 1 and 2. Pause that if you need to. And we're going to move on to number 3. For 3, you have 4m minus 4 equals to 4m. All right. So first things first, get rid of that minus 4 by doing plus 4 on both sides. Actually, no, don't do that. Let me go back. You have m on both sides of the equal sign. You have m here and m here. Get rid of one of them. Now, you're like, they're both 4m. Which one do I get rid of? Doesn't matter. And you'll see it doesn't matter in the problem. So I'm going to subtract 4m from either side because it doesn't make a difference. They're both 4m's, which means they all go away. What are you left with? 0 minus 4 equals to 0. Now, 0 minus 4 does not equal to 0 because negative 4 does not equal to 0. This is a case, and we had this on the practice, where it's a no solution problem. And you can look at it from the start. You're like, well, if one side is 4m minus 4, the other side is 4m. It's not it's one side just has a 4m and the other side is 4m and something. It's not balanced. It's not from the get-go. So this problem was never going to be able to be solved. So no solution for 3. Let's move on to number 4. And number 4 is p minus 1 equals to 5p plus 3p minus 8. So I have 3 p's here, but 2 of them I can combine. So let's do that. So it's going to be p minus 1 equals to 8p minus 8. Sweet. Now I have p's on either side. Get rid of one. I always prefer to get rid of the smaller one. So I'm going to subtract p from both sides. Now I have, because these are gone, boom, boom. I now have negative 1 equals to 7p minus 8. Now it's a two-step equation. Simply go ahead and add 8 to both sides. You're going to get 7 equals to 7p. And last step is pretty simple. Divide both sides by 7 to get rid of that multiply by 7. So that's gone here, and technically it's gone here too. But when I say gone, in this case it's not 0, it's 1, because 7 goes into 7, 1, and 1 times p is p, and here's just 1. So p is 1. It's a perfectly good answer. That's number 4. Pause this if you need to. Now let's move on to number 5. Number 5, you have negative 8 equals to negative x plus 4. So here Really simple. We just need to open up the parenthesis. What's in front of the parenthesis? Just a negative. Now, if that bothers you, just put a -1, or just put a 1 next to the negative. You don't have to, but you're just distributing the negative to everything inside. So it's just going to be -8, and then it's going to be the x was positive, now it's negative. The 4 was positive, now it's negative. All you did is you distributed the negative to everything inside. And now it's, two-step equation. First, let's get rid of this -4 by doing +4 on both sides. So -x is going to equal to a -4. I don't want a negative x, so I want a positive x. How do we do that? Well, you can either divide or multiply by a -1, because multiplying or dividing by a negative number changes the sign. So negative times negative is positive, so you're going to have x equals to +4. And that's number 5. All right, let's move on to 6. 12 equals to -4 times the parenthesis, which has a -6x minus 3. PEMDAS, always first. Let's get that parenthesis opened up. So it's going to be 12 equals to -4 times a -6x, and then -4 times a -3. All right, let's do our 2 multiplications. It'll be 12 equals to 24x, positive 24x, plus 12. Pretty simple. And now, of course, we can subtract 12 from both sides. So these are all gone. All the 12s are gone. Now you have 0 equals to 24x. Doesn't matter what we're going to do, but we are going to go ahead and divide both sides by 24. I say it doesn't matter because divide by 0 is 0. So x is still going to be just 0. And that's number 6. All right, pause that if you need to. Now let's move on to 7 and 8. For 7, you have -18 minus 6k equals to 6 times the parenthesis, which has 1 plus 3k inside. All right. So let's open up the parenthesis first by distributing that 6 to everything inside. So I'm not changing anything over here on the left side. On the right side, it's going to be 6 times 1 plus 6 times 3k. So again, nothing changes on the left side. 6 times 3 is 18k. All right. Now that that's done, I have k on both sides of the equal sign. Get rid of the smaller one. And the smaller one is definitely the negative. The negative k goes. So boom, that's gone. Now you have -18 equals to 6 plus, and that looks to be like 24k. All right, like the gold. Next, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the 6 by doing -6 on both sides. You're going to get -24 equals to 24k. And the last step is pretty simple. We're just going to go ahead and divide both sides by 24. And here it's gone. So you're going to have k equals to, 24 goes into 24 once, and negative divided by positive is a negative. So -1 is the answer for 7. So pause that if you need to. And we're going to go ahead and move on to number 8. Draw a line so we know where each problem stands. So it is 5n plus 34 equals to -2, 1 minus 7n. All right, as always, open up the parenthesis. So you're going to have 5n plus 34 equals to -2 times 1, and then -2 times -7n. Yeah, -7n. There we go. All right, so now nothing changes on the left side. On the right side, you have -2 plus 14n, because negative times negative is positive. All right, now you have n's on both sides. What do? Get rid of the smaller one, always. And the smaller one is not always, but preferably. The smaller one is a 5n, so get rid of that. Now you just have 34 equals to -2 minus 9n. All right, now next step, get rid of the minus 2 by doing plus 2 to both sides. That's gone. You're going to have 36 equals to negative 9n. And for our very last step, just simply, because it's multiplied by negative 9, divide by negative 9. That's the opposite. So that's gone here. And n is going to be, 9 goes into 36 4 times, and positive divided by negative is negative, so negative 4. All right, so that's 7 and 8. Pause that before we move on for our next problem. All right, so number 9 is the first of our extra credit problems. There's 4 on here. So they just mean they're a little bit more busy. That's all it was. I was just being nice by not making these, mandatory, but yeah, here we go. I'll just quickly do them. So you open up both parentheses. Here you distribute the negative, and here you distribute the negative 6. So you're going to have negative 1 minus 7x, and here you're going to have negative 6 times negative 7. That is going to be a positive 42, and negative 6 times negative x, that's going to be a positive 6x. I'm skipping a step here. It's extra credit. All right, then combine your like terms. So that's going to be negative 1, and also these two are also like terms. So yeah, combine all your like terms. So negative 1 and positive 42, that's positive 41. Negative 7x plus 6x is just negative x equals to 36. All right, so we just cleaned that right up. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 41 from both sides. So negative x ends up being, what is that? Negative 5. Looks like it. And then to get rid of that negative sign, just simply multiply both sides by a negative 1. And that makes the x positive, makes the 5 positive. So x is 5. That's number 9. Pause that if you need to. Let's do the other extra credit problem, which is number 10. Here we go. Again, 10 is nothing really special. Just has the 2 parentheses. We did a problem like this, or actually at least 2 problems like this in the class. But it's extra credit, so hey, there we go. So open up both parentheses. So you're going to get yourself negative 3 times 4x, that's negative 12x. Negative 3 times negative 3, that is negative 9. And then you're also going to get 4 times 6x, that's 24x. Now 4 times 1, that's just 4. So that's the 2 parentheses opened up, equals to 43. Combine your like terms, so combine your x's and combine your non-x's. So you're going to get yourself positive 12x and a negative 5 when you combine all those terms. And now it's just a simple 2-step equation. So we're going to go ahead and start by adding 5 to both sides. So here it's gone. So 12x is just going to be 48. And finally, we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 12. Here it's gone. So x is just going to be 4. And that is number 10. Also concludes our front side of the quiz. We're going to move on to the back side. Pause this if you need to, and let us do number 11. So you have here 8x minus 2 equals to negative 9 plus 7x. Simpler than what we've been doing. No parentheses. You just have an x on both sides. Get rid of the smaller one. Minus 7x on both sides. So that's gone. And now you just have x minus 2 equals to negative 9. Super duper ultra simple. Simply add 2 to both sides. Gone here. And x is just a negative 7. Like, that's pretty darn simple. That's 11. Let's do 12. 12 is a plus 5 equals to negative 5a plus 5. All right. Well, go ahead and get rid of one of the a's. And in this case, you might be tempted to get rid of the a on the left side, but technically speaking, the negative 5a is the smaller one. So I'm going to add 5a to both sides. So these are gone. So now 6a plus 5 equals to 5. And if you're like, yeah, that looks a little weird. Yeah, that does indeed. But let's see let's follow this through. So subtract 5 from both sides. That's gone, that's gone. So now you have 6a equals to 0. And just divide both sides by 6. And of course, a is just 0. It looks a little weird, but it solves. There is a solution to this problem. If you plug in 0, it works out. That's 12. Pause this if you need to. And we're going to move on into 13 and 14. All right, for 13, you have 5p minus 14 equals to 8p plus 4. Again, very similar to the last couple of problems. Get rid of one of the p's. The one on the left, I feel like, is the smaller one. Well, it is the smaller one. So I'm going to get rid of that one. So now you have negative 14 equals to 3p plus 4. Now it's a two-step equation. Super simple. Subtract 4 from both sides. So that's gone here. Combining two negative numbers, you're going to get a bigger negative number. So that's negative 18 equals to 3p. All right. And then we're simply going to, because it's multiplied by 3, we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. Gone here. And p is simply going to be negative 6. 3 goes into 18 3 times, and negative divided by positive is 6. So that is 13. Let's tackle 14, which is p minus 4 equals to negative 9 plus p. So this is going to be a funky problem. You have p's on either side of the equal sign. Got to get rid of one. Which one? They're both p, right? So just get rid of one and see what happens. I mean, get rid of either one. So now, boom, 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 you're going to get yourself negative 4 equals to negative 9. And negative 4 does not equal to negative 9. It doesn't. There is no solution here. Nothing you can do that's going to make this work. It's another no solution problem. So that is number 14. Pause that if you need to before we move on to 15 and 16. We're getting close to being done. All right, number 15, you have 14 equals to just a small, quick little parenthesis. All right, open up the parenthesis by distributing that negative to everything inside. Essentially, everything inside is going to change their sign. So 14 is going to equal to a negative p plus 8. So the p becomes negative and the 8 becomes positive. All right, now two-step equation. Get rid of the 8. So negative p is going to equal to 6. And I get rid of that negative sign by simply multiplying or dividing by negative 1. I prefer to multiply, but you can divide by negative 1, which means you're going to get negative 6 equals to positive p. And that is your answer for 15. Nice and simple, just the way I like it. All right, let's do 16. All right, very similar problem. You have that negative you got to distribute to everything inside. So let's do that. Negative times 7, that's a negative 7. Negative times negative 4x, that's a positive 4x equals to 9. And now it's just a simple two-step equation. We're going to start by adding 7 to both sides. Gone here. So 4x ends up being, if I did everything correctly, I'm just making sure I did everything correctly. Yeah, that's going to be 16. Yep. Okay, good. It works out. All right. So then divide by 4 to counter that multiply by 4. So that's gone here. And x is simply going to be 16 divided by 4, which is 4. And that's 15 and 16. Done. Pause this if you need to, and let's go ahead and move on to number 17. A little bit harder, not by much to be perfectly honest, but all right. So open up the parenthesis first. So that's going to be 2 times 4x plus 2 times negative 3 minus 8 equals to 4 plus 2x. Do your multiplication, that's going to be 8x minus 6 minus 8. These were the two multiplications, and these were the two answers. Equals to 4 plus 2x. I can combine some like terms there. I can combine the negative 6 and a negative 8. So it'll be 8x minus 14 equals to 4 plus 2x. Now I have x on either side of the equal sign. Got to get rid of 1. And I always prefer to get rid of the smaller one. So I'm going to get rid of the 2x. So that's gone. Now I have 6x minus 14 equals to 4. All right, just simply follow through. Add 14 to both sides to get rid of that minus 14. So that's gone. So 6x is simply going to be 18. And then, of course, divide by 6 on both sides. And, that's gone. And x is simply going to be 3. 16 divided, 6 goes into 18 3 times. So that's number 17. A bit more work, but still not bad. Let's do 18 right next to it. Then we've got enough room. 3n minus 5 equals to negative 8 times a parenthesis, which has 6 plus 5n inside. And the first thing we're going to do is going to distribute the negative 8 to everything inside the parenthesis. So we're going to have 3n minus 5 equals to negative 8 times 6. And then negative 8 times 5n. Let's do our two multiplications. So nothing changes on the left side of the equal sign. Negative 8 times 6, that's going to be a negative 48. Negative 8 times 5n, that's going to be a negative 40n. All right, now you have n on both sides. Get rid of the smaller one. And no, the smaller one is not 3n. It's the negative 40n. A negative number is always smaller than a positive number. So I'm going to get rid of that by adding 40n to both sides. So that's gone. So now you have 43n minus 5 equals to negative 48. Now get rid of that negative 5 by adding 5 to both sides. So that's gone here. So 43n is going to equal to a positive 43. Hey, that works out. Lovely. So now just simply divide by 43 on both sides. And n is just going to be 1. That's number 17 and 18. Pause it if you need to, and let's jump into our last two extra credit problems. But this concludes like the regular portion of the quiz. All right, let's do 19. So here you have 24a. It's really not a difficult problem. I should not even have made this extra credit, but I did, so. All right, open up the parenthesis. Keep this simple. 24a minus 22 equals to negative 4 plus 24a. I'm skipping a step here because it's extra credit. Then we have a on both sides. Get rid of one of them. They're the same thing. Which one do you get rid of? Doesn't matter. Get rid of them both. All right? So, gone, gone. And now you have negative 22 equals to negative 4. And of course, you know, negative 22 does not equal to negative 4. So this is a no solution problem. It's a no solution extra credit. Yep, that's that. That's 19. You have to show me why it's no solution. You're good to go. Yep, now let's do number 20. which is, actually a very busy problem. This one is worth being extra credit. It's not crazy or anything, but there is quite a bit going on. So fair enough. So open up both parentheses. So for the first one, -5 times 1 is -5. -5 times -5x, that's a positive 25x. And then 5 times -8x, that is going to be a -40x. 5 times -2, that's going to be a -10. So those are my two parentheses opened. Then let's go ahead and combine like terms. Let's combine the x's, and let's combine the non-x's. -5 and -10, that's going to become -15. 25 minus 40, that's a -15x. All right. Then we have x on both sides of the equal sign. Get rid of the smaller one. And which one is the smaller one? In this case, it is the, it is the -15x. Because the greater the negative number, the smaller it is. So add 15x to both sides to get rid of it on the left side. And that's going to give us positive 7x. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. All right, well, we did the work. You could have always just simply combined these ahead of time, but I didn't. So we're going to combine them now. All right. I did not even notice that you had two x's on the right side. Well, it's fine. It's not going to change anything. So it's going to be -3x there. And then simply divide both sides by -3 for the last step. So gone. And x is simply going to be a positive 5 because negative divided by negative is positive. So that happens to be number 20, the last problem and the last extra credit problem. All right, thank you.